What's up, family?
What's up, fam?
Hey, just keeping it real with Charles and
Melendia.
Yep. Look, you're probably asking, who are we?
Who are we?
Well,
we
we're
are
relationship advocates.
What does that mean?
You tell me what it means.
It's coming out of my
Right.
words.
Hey.
That means we publicly support
Yes.
and recommend that the strengthening of your relationship as well as ours.
Yes, healthy relationships, yours and ours.
Yeah.
So what's our purpose?
What is our purpose?
Our purpose is to empower all people
All people.
in hopes of building a stronger world. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're glad you joined us today.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to ask you, if you would, please, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, we ask that you like, we ask that you share, make comments. We want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Look, we want to share something today. If you've been anywhere in this world over the last few days, you probably have gotten some text or even watched videos or heard the audio of our beloved Kirk Franklin and his son Carry-On in a heated conversation.
Yeah.
Now, whether you have a judgment or opinion on it, it's irrelevant to what we're talking about today.
Exactly.
But what we want to say this, we're not going to amplify, glorify, or any of that, whether we're here or there. But what we want to focus on our parenting skills, and we ask you to do the same. Focus on your parenting skills.
Yeah.
So,
and that actually is to help us to become better or guide us as being successful parents.
Yes. So, our talk today
is about successful parenting.
Keys to successful parenting.
Yeah. So, when we talk about successful parenting, you know, we are parents of 2 adult children.
Yes.
So we kind of want to share just a little snippet of our story. We are parents of 2 successful children. So we have a son and a daughter. They're grown, and I'm gonna tell you something. Parenting is hard.
Yes, it is a challenge for sure.
Do you see my shirt?
Hey.
The struggle's real. But in all seriousness, as well, we're still saying we have made mistakes as parents.
Absolutely.
So, you know, you can't look at somebody else, whether, you know, they're a known figure or whatever. First thing you have to do is look at yourself.
Sure.
You know, so our story as raising our kids is that there's really no manual to tell you of each scenario in life that you're going to go through as a parent.
Sure. Yeah, right. Yeah. And you're going to have experiences that you look back on and you'll say, oh, I wish I'd handled that a little differently.
Yeah.
Or in some you say, I think we did okay in handling that.
Yeah.
Or we did well in handling that.
Yeah. So, you know, part of the understanding of working on being a successful parent is praying for wisdom.
You got to have wisdom in dealing with children.
Asking God to help you raise these children in the admiration of the Lord, and you know, and that you guide them the way they should be. So that is, you know, one thing that you have to sit back and think about, and then, you know, look at resources.
Sure.
You know, check out resources, because like I said, and then remember, every resource is not for every family and every household. You
have to determine that, whether it's through books, whether it's through online sites, you know, parenting. You have to go out and grab information, and then you have to decipher whether this will work for your family.
Yeah, and most importantly as well is you're going to have to self-examine of how you are as a parent.
Sure.
So in order to determine or look at yourself, am I a successful parent?
Yes. Well, let's just ask that question. Do you consider yourself a successful parent?
I do. I do. But in my definition, I am an
evolving I would say,
parent of working on my success as a parent.
Sure. And I feel, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
So
go ahead.
I know that I haven't met every criteria in the success of a parent, but I do look at myself, I evaluate myself and the way that I am parenting and rate myself as,
Sure.
as a parent.
Sure, right. And I feel the same way. I would say overall, I think we would have been and are successful parents. But again, it doesn't mean you don't make mistakes. So it doesn't mean everything was perfect. We are still evolving. We're still working on it. We're a work in progress, as we say, often on our, show, basically podcast. We say it often that we are work because we make mistakes.
Right.
And the thing about it, just like even seeing, growing up, seeing our parents, for me, again, you learn things and you try to develop better.
Right.
And you hope that your children would do the same.
Yeah,
So,
and then even, as you're evaluating yourself, think about, do I exhibit a characteristic that either my child will want to be like, or like if my daughter would like to be like her mom, or use her mother's parenting skills, or a woman for my son, is he would look at the characteristics as a wife. And for you,
sure,
the same.
Right.
For your daughter.
Yes. Well, I would like to and hope that I have exhibited, positive characters that she would desire in a man, a husband, and I would also like to think that with our son that I've exemplified, positive characteristics that he would want to take on as a man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So those are the things you kind of have to, think about what you are as you determine what successful parenting is. So
without further ado, when we come back,
we're going to talk about some tips.
We'll talk about our tips and keys.
And as we say, we're going to talk about some keys to successful parenting.
And by no means are these all inclusive.
Right.
You may have ideas yourself.
Yeah.
But we want to share what we've come up with, of what we've tossed around.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
let's do it.
And whether you should think about using some of these tips, because we all need some sense of support from each other, because it takes a tribe, believe me. So some of our keys that we came to. The first one is, if I start off and say that knowing the role as a parent that God has placed on me.
You must know. And that's the thing. You must know the role that God has placed on not just me, but as parents. And that will be a common role. And so we'll talk about a little bit of that. And notice a lot of, we believe this. Somebody's probably wondering, why are they talking about Bible, pulling Bible? Because number one, we believe that we were created. We believe that we were created by God. So with that, we go for instructions in everyday life to that word. So that's where we're going.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have my wife go ahead and share at verse 1.
Okay, what's your first verse?
Knowing the role, we go to the book of Psalms, 22nd chapter, and the 6th verse.
Yeah, and that, it kind of subtitles under instruction as far as your role placed as a parent. And it says, train up a child in the way he should go.
And you've heard that before.
Even when he is old, he will not depart.
Even when he's old, he will not depart. So very familiar scripture to you. So the thing is that our role is to train up. So in order to train, then that must mean that you must be trained first.
Right.
So the thing about it, we've got to get educated in order to train someone. Again, we must have experience there. So as a parent, our job is to get trained so we can train them.
Right. And know where your training is coming from.
Yes, and it has to be spiritual based.
So it starts with the foundation.
Yes.
A right foundation. And the second scripture we reference is Psalms 127:3, which is value. And
the thing about it, how does God value my child or my children? And if you would, go ahead and share that.
It says, behold, children are a heritage.
Children are heritage. Do you know what a heritage is? That's something to be passed on. In other words, something that we continue to pass. So our children are that in God's eyes.
Yeah.
Okay? Go ahead.
Okay. So the second one?
Wait a minute. Finish. I think something. Yeah, yes.
Okay, so
we got half. heritage.
The fruit of the womb is a reward.
So the fruit of the womb are a reward. So we're talking about a heritage and a reward. So with God letting you know the value of your child or your children, then we have to know how to deal. So if we know God values them that way, we must have a value on them as well.
Absolutely.
So, okay, the second thing we talk about is understanding God's role for the children.
Right.
So there's a responsibility for our children. So we're going to go to one scripture which should be very familiar, and that's Ephesians, the 6th chapter, second verse.
So know that the first one is knowing the roles placed on parents.
Parents' roles.
The second one is understanding the role that's placed on children.
Children, right.
Yeah. And it's Ephesians, start with the first chapter. It says, children, obey your parents in the Lord. For
you said
this
start in the first chapter.
Is right.
Oh, okay. No, that's Ephesians 6th chapter, first verse. Now say that again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Children, obey your parents in the Lord. For this is right.
This is right. Okay, so now there's the responsibility. Children, obey your parents in the Lord.
Yeah.
This is right. Okay?
Yeah.
All right?
Okay.
So in other words, if parents are giving you instructions outside of the Lord or something contrary, then that's not according to what God is saying. So you obey Him in the Lord. The things
because we still have to remain as children respectful.
Respect.
We have to be respectful. So the next scripture, I think it was referenced as Proverbs 1:8.
1:8. Proverbs 1:8. And what does it say?
Hear my son.
Hear my son.
Your father's instruction, and forsake not your mother's teaching.
Hear your father's instruction. Forsake not your mother's teaching. So that's why we as parents must give spiritual and sound reasoning and wisdom.
Right.
Okay.
Instruction.
And instruction. Yes. So. Okay.
So you can go back and forth about whether a parent is representing that.
Yes.
So regardless, we still have a role to play as parents and as children. As a grown adult myself, I still have to model and know and understand God's role for me as a child, as a grown woman.
Absolutely, and we can't say, well, my mom, they're not saved. I'm listening to them. I don't care about what they're saying. No. There's still a role and there's still a responsibility for a child to give respect to that parent.
Exactly.
Okay.
So our third key to successful planning is understanding your boundaries.
Understanding the boundaries.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what does that mean? That there is a limit to how far we go according to God. So do we just do what we want to do because you're my child and you do whatever? I can take you. I brought you in this world. I can take you out. Well, what does God have to say about that? Is there a boundary for a parent? There is. And go ahead.
It talks about not provoking your child. So when we have certain boundaries, as a parent, you have to know that your boundary with your child is not to be a constant provoker. To anger or whatever. Or causing rivalry and things like that.
Humiliation. Yes. Right.
And even in the time of needing discipline, but not doing it under anger. As well. Right.
And that's the thing too. And I know in the black family there are things that we deal with in particular when it comes to discipline. And I know we're more quick to, I guess, go to the belt, the switch, some of the extension cords or whatever it is. But the thing about it, we need to be careful not to break our children's spirit in the process, because those things were used, or beatings, whippings would say, they were used to break the spirit of our slaves during slavery. But in times, I know we have repeated what we've seen. And I'm not saying that, don't spank or this, that, and that. No. You do whatever you do, but do it according to God's wisdom in how you do.
And understand your boundaries in doing that.
Right.
Set some type of self-discipline
for
yourself. You know, because, children can take you there.
Sure.
They can take you there. They, as we've seen as our public figure, they can take you there.
Sure.
And he's no different than my husband and myself,
right.
where we can get so upset or angry.
Yes, right.
But we've got to know our boundaries, our limitations, and sometimes we lose it.
Right. And discipline should not turn into abuse.
Right.
And that's the thing. That's one thing we have to be in disrespect.
Right.
Because, again, neither way on that.
Right.
So,
right.
because we know that children nowadays are also abusing their parents.
Yeah.
They're doing things. So, again, what we're saying is that there is a foundation, biblically or scriptural or spiritual wise. There is that foundation. We're saying to employ that foundation in your family and also in our family as well.
So the fourth key that we thought of is being supportive.
Oh, being supportive. Now, what does that mean? Because that takes on a whole new meaning nowadays. Because some people feel if you don't okay what I'm doing, then you're not being supportive.
So the connection to that is loving them unconditionally, even though you can not support.
Okay.
Not necessarily support their actions or their choices or things like that, but you still should continue to love unconditionally.
Okay, so being supportive, let's say this, and also I'm going to say in being supportive is to be affirming as well. Mm-hmm. So number one, you don't have to do anything for me to love you as my child. Let's get that straight right there. Yeah. You don't have to do anything. And if you can't do anything to stop me from loving you as my child.
Right.
So there's no conditions attached. Just like God, our Father, loves us unconditionally. He loved us while we were yet in our mess. So the thing about it, and still does, yes. Mm-hmm. So we have to learn to practice that in our own lives with our own children. Yeah. So the thing there, being supportive, I support you. I'm here for you. Mm-hmm. I'm there. And it has nothing to do with what decisions you make. If you make right decisions, I'm here, I'm supportive. If you make wrong decisions, I'm here and I'm supportive. Not necessarily mean that I support your wrong actions. Right. It doesn't mean that at all. I'm supportive of you. Right. And that's the thing. And that's where we've got to get to a point as parents to learn to be supportive and not necessarily supporting wrong. Right. I'm supportive of my child, not her wrongdoing.
Right. And, as we saying, we're learning to be better parents.
Oh, yes.
Learning the successful parenting track. And we have not gotten it right sometimes.
Oh,
and the appearance of us trying to be supportive and loving unconditionally can be perceived from our children as angry or hateful or, just being judgmental,
judging,
so even so your intent is not to be that way. That's why it's also so important to have that communication with your children, because they may take on what you say as a different appearance as to how you actually felt, so, if I am upset about something that one of my children have done and I exhibit an action toward them that may not look so loving, and they may feel that and harbor that. And I've done that. I've done that unknowingly, meaning, my children have done something and it may appear that I am angry. I'm so angry or, to them, it may be like, well, dang, she don't even love me. Or she's not acting like she loved me. And that's not my intent, nor was that anything that I would want to give off. So that communication is so vital when you're dealing with being there to support what you understand with your child and the things that they may do, as well as not supporting their action, but still loving them unconditionally.
And one story I like to recall is the one of the prodigal son, how the father gave him his inheritance, and yet he went off and just blew it and lived like he wanted to. But when he came back, his father was there to greet him.
Yeah.
He was there to greet him and said, son, I love you. I mean, you returned home. You're back.
Right.
So in that, these are some of the things. God has had mercy on us when we've done our mess. And the thing about it, we've got to, in turn, be patient with each other.
Yeah.
We've got to be patient with ourselves, because some people are so hard on themselves, they are unforgiving themselves. So again, we got to learn to love unconditionally, even through the mess. So my prayer is with Kirk Franklin, his son, not only just that, my son, my daughter, our family, is the thing is that we ask God to help us with loving unconditionally.
Yeah. So let's just go over really quickly our first 4 keys. 1, know the role that God has placed on you as a parent.
You as a parent, yes.
2.
Number 2, understanding God's role for children as well.
Yes. Number 3, understanding your boundaries. And number 4,
being supportive. Got to. And learning to love unconditionally.
Yeah. So we're going to follow up with our last 4.
We're back.
Yeah.
So here we go.
So, number 5.
Make it a priority to spend time and to spend active time and quality time with your children.
Yeah, yeah. And understand that things don't substitute time. Because
right.
I work so hard, I work so much, I've got this going on, I got to do this and got to do that. So now I'm going to buy things to substitute the loss of time, because that is of no value.
Absolutely. Doesn't work.
Yeah. So understand that time takes a priority over things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So number 6.
Okay. Hey, be a good example as well. Be a role model.
Mm-hmm.
Also, exhibit positive attributes or positive qualities.
Absolutely.
Got to do it.
Absolutely. 7 is being a parent first.
Oh.
So what does that mean?
Well, I think for a lot of us, we feel that we want to change roles. We're going to be the parent role, and it's time the friend role, and it confuses the child a lot of time because they don't know what hat you're wearing.
Right.
Bam, bam, So the thing is, it's like this. You've got to be a parent first.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to put the hard rules down or to make the hard decisions. You got to do it sometimes.
Yeah.
So the thing is, guess what? Be a parent first. Don't think about, oh no, if I say this, they'll get mad at me and that's going to rock the friendship, relationship that we got going. Think about being a parent. You've got to be a parent first.
And there's nothing wrong with being your child's friend, but know what your first priority is, and that is being a parent first.
Yes.
So setting that separate from, being a, quote, friend. Make sure you have that foundation of, I am your parent.
Yes.
So even with parenting and being that first, I have to know there's just certain things you ain't going to say to me as a child.
Right.
And there's certain things as a parent I don't need to say to my child. So, we're not going to share certain things as a mother-daughter at a certain time. Now, we got another snippet on that, but what I mean is, in order to soothe you over, I got to be your friend and treat you like my girlfriend. So we're going to talk like girlfriends.
Right.
So being a parent is the first priority over being a child's friend.
Sure.
Yeah. So make sure, and it also confuses the child, like he says, and it opens the door for disrespect.
Sure, right. Because again, they don't know which hat you're wearing.
Yeah.
And it can confuse.
Yeah.
Okay.
And our last one.
Use your life experience as a teaching tool.
Yeah.
But make that age appropriate for the child.
Yeah.
So if you want to relay or share your life experiences, then you've got to do that. And you've got to use discretion at doing that.
Yeah. So, as they get older, if it's some things that they are struggling with, and you had some struggles when you were a young adult, and you've got a young adult that's dealing with certain things, you can use your examples in your life to help them refocus, repurpose, figure out, because sometimes our children tend to look at, especially some spiritual parents, that they're so righteous and they're so, quote, holy, and they've never done anything, whatever. No, give them some reality. Give them some reality that, I walked through some battles too.
Sure.
And I got some battle scars.
And one thing you have to be cautious of, because even using your life experience, sometimes folk can get captured by their own life experiences and failures in particular. So let's just say, like for us, if we failed at abstaining from sexual, involvements before marriage, then if we had a child that were involved, and then we say, oh, I don't want to say nothing because I failed myself. And then after saying this, and if the child relays that back saying, well, you did it, Mom, Dad, then we'll like, oh, you're right, I can't say anything. Never be captured by the failures that you have made. So, yes, I know I did, but it was wrong then and it's wrong now.
Right.
So that's the difference in it, being able to speak truth, though you failed in the area.
Exactly. And don't feel guilty about that.
Right.
And don't allow the child to make you feel guilty about it. You know what? Yep, I was human and I screwed up. But I'm trying to help you not go down that to go down that same path.
Right.
So,
Sure. But most children nowadays,
they want
their own experience.
Yeah.
I want to learn from myself.
And you know what? If that's what they want to do, because people, as we say, gonna do what they want to do.
Yes.
And so that doesn't separate our children from doing anything different.
Right.
They're gonna do what they want to do, and they're gonna learn from their own experiences. So to go over our last 4 again is number 5, make time a priority. Number 6,
be a good example, a role model, and exhibit positive qualities.
7 is be a parent first. And that is when we talked about build a solid foundation. Don't always think that you've got to be friends. And the last one, 8.
Use your life experiences as a teaching tool and make it age appropriate.
Absolutely. So, I hope you take these tips and these tools and utilize them in your own family. So, think of these tips and utilize them in your own family. So, as we know that every family is different, but I can guarantee you that these tips are beneficial for your family.
Yes. So, in conclusion, we lift you up in prayer. We ask that you utilize the tools as we do as well. So until next time,
stay blessed.
Be positive. Stay believing.
Bye.
Love you.
Real, real, real. Just keep it real, real, real. Just keep it real, real, real. Just keep it